Do I look happy?
Have I changed things? Still I fear the answer's no. In this fucked up world in which I feel lost and alone. All this hate that I feel for you, my one true enemy, once was blind, but now I see. It makes me question why do we choose to live this way. I try to free my mind from what's not meant to be. It makes me question why.
You know, it's rare for a game to actually make me so unbelievably angry that I actually refuse to finish it. In fact, I'm pretty sure that literally has only ever happened once that I can think of. I only ever really went into a game once and played it for a bit and then actively just stopped. Just refused. Just no more. No, we're done. We're done. This has happened again. So, thank you, donator, who sent me Splinter Cell. Frickin' double agent, cause wow, wow, I don't know whether you wanted me to like it, cause I hope you didn't, cause that's not what happened at all. You know, if anything, I hate it more than fans hate the game, cause that was the thing that bothered me the most before I even played it, cause I asked a few people who have actually played Splinter Cell games before, because I haven't, and their reaction was, wait, what? Basically, literally everyone was more confused as to why someone who was trying to get me into the series, if they were trying to do that, would send me what is, in effect, the worst Splinter Cell game, to my understanding. This is the equivalent of me sending someone Sonic 06 when they were trying to get into the Sonic series. It just doesn't make any sense. Like of all the games to send them, you sent them the worst conceivable one. And the worst part is, I was actually really interested in this game, because some of the mechanics sounded like really good ideas. And someone decided to compare it to another stealth game that I happen to like, called Velvet Assassin. Here's the thing. That comparison now offends me deeply, as this game is nothing, and I mean nothing, like Velvet Assassin. Because the difference between this game and Velvet Assassin is that Velvet Assassin was, actually kind of fun for a budget title. I mean, it wasn't a great, game, but I actually enjoyed that one. Whereas this game I actually actively refuse to complete. That is the difference we're dealing with. So what's wrong with Double Agent? Fucking everything. That's not true. It's not everything. It's just basically everything. It's not a matter of this game being the worst thing in the world. I've completed Colonial Marines, and this game isn't technically as bad as that game. Because, sometimes I'll play a game and it'll have a lot of flaws, but it won't, piss me off actively. This game suffers from this unique combination of bad things that it's to the point that it just makes me want to strangle somebody. That is the kind of game we're dealing with here. Visually, the game is alright, and I guess from a sound perspective, it's alright too. It's just everything else. For one of the key points of a stealth game is that the enemy AI should be, at the very least, decent. The enemies should be able to react to things in a somewhat intelligent manner. This has been a staple in stealth games since Metal Gear Solid, alright? That has been a very basic thing. The enemies in Double Agent are some of the biggest fucking retards I've ever seen in my life. And no exaggeration on that. These guys are so dumb. Wow. There are times where they look right at me and they don't see me. It's just nothing. Or I walk right up to them behind them and then, I walk away and they have no idea I was there. And you might be saying, well, you were hiding in the dark. This is not dark, though. That's my problem with this. The lighting effects don't react in a realistic manner to conceal you. There have been times in other stealth games where I've been concealed in darkness, like in Thief, for example, and enemies have looked right at me and not seen me, but at least there, it's dark enough where I find the situation believable. But then there's areas of this base where it looks pretty well lit, and you should be able to see, at the very least, a silhouette of someone there, especially one who has giant glowing goggles on his fucking head, and they still don't see me. Beyond that, the controls are odd. I don't actually know how to explain them. I mean, I guess technically they're not bad. They're just, so not like any other game I've ever played that it's very difficult to get used to them. For example, you have to press X to aim your gun, which I don't really understand at all. I don't even understand why that's a thing. And over time, you can get used to them. I mean, they're not bad. Again, they work. It's just more a matter of, I just don't understand why they are the way they are. Outwardly glaring flaws, let's talk about the camera, because the camera is the worst fucking thing I've ever had to deal with in my life. Okay, also not true. I'm still mad. Sorry. But it is pretty bad. And you might be saying, well, what's wrong with the camera? It looks like it stays right behind you. And, you know, you'd think with a camera like that it wouldn't be that big of a deal. It would be fine. But somehow they managed to fuck it up, and the issue is that the camera has a really nasty habit of zooming in way too close to you, so you have no idea what's going on around. You can't see anything, because all you can see is the back of your fucking head sometimes. And I think what happens is that whenever you get close to terrain behind you, the camera doesn't phase through that terrain, it just goes in front of the terrain. And that's a problem because you can't see, again. And, you know, again, stealth game, there's a lot of narrow corridors you have to hide in at times. So this is a really constant nagging problem. The weapons also don't feel right to me. This is hard to explain, but it doesn't feel like I'm hitting people whenever I'm shooting them. There doesn't appear to be any kind of stagger animation or anything like that. The enemies only seem to react with headshots, and I don't understand why that is. The story, on the other hand, is not very good. I mean, it's okay. It's just okay. I think that's sort of my issue with it. Also, speaking of story, while we're on stories, let's talk about this whole trust system. See, since you know it's double agent, you have to gain the trust of both sides that you're on. Question: why does Sam Fisher, the best fucking agent the agency's ever had, have to gain their trust? Why is that even a thing? I don't even get that at all. Like, I understand there being a trust system for the terrorists you're infiltrating. That makes sense to me. But the guys you work for? Really? It's Sam Fisher, guys. Like honestly, it wouldn't be that big of a deal if it was a thing, and, you know, if you did something that was blatantly out of line, they would get mad at you. That makes sense. But you actually lose trust for them for getting seen on a mission by accident. You know, if you go in, if you alert a guard, that loses trust somehow, which annoyed me, specifically during the second mission, when you're breaking out of the prison, because you're escaping during a prison riot. You lose points whenever you alert a guard during the prison riot. Except for the fact that because there is a prison riot, the guards should never not be on alert, so I don't even know why that's a thing at all in that mission. It makes no goddamn sense. Speaking of the prison level, because this is where I started getting really, really mad at the game, why does Sam Fisher have, like, most of his gadgets when he's in prison? He has the little light on his back, and I know that thing is there to assist the player to know when they're concealed in darkness and everything, and I get that, so I can kind of slide that one off a little bit on that basis, but then you can hack, like, door panels. You have your hacking gear. You're supposed to be in prison. How do you have that? How do you have that? Even the first mission actually made me mad. Because when you go into the missile silo, you have like 5 or 6 minutes to stop the missile from launching. And yet there are guards posted immediately around the missile. And I know from a gameplay perspective that makes sense for there to be guards for you to avoid, but from a logic perspective it makes no sense because this missile is going to launch in 5 or 6 minutes. It is going to get really fucking hot in here. Why are you still walking around the missile? Leave. Go literally anywhere else right now. You cannot stay here. You will be incinerated. Why are you here? Why? What? It doesn't make any sense. And you're probably like, well, can you really judge a game if you haven't played it, like, at least halfway through? Because I didn't even get that far. And yes, at times you can. I mean, if a game makes you that mad, if it is so bad that you literally can't even stand to play it, like I can't stand to play this game, that says something. You know, I don't anticipate the game's going to get any better. The AI certainly won't. The combat certainly won't. The camera is definitely not going to. I mean, most of my problems are consistent issues. Things that keep happening. And as the game progresses, I don't anticipate those to get any more fun. Again, the Velvet Assassin comparison. You know what? Here's the difference between this and Velvet Assassin. For one, whenever you were in the dark in Velvet Assassin, it actually looked like you were in the dark. So let's get that out of the way. But beyond that, the other thing I noticed is that in Velvet Assassin, whenever you got seen or anything, you were really punished for it. Like, that game was really hard for that reason, which is one of the things I liked about it. It was a really hard game because enemies weren't idiots, and if they saw you, you were basically dead. Combat really wasn't much of a thing in that game because you would die if you got seen. It was a true stealth experience. In Double Agent, that's not really much the case at all. You shouldn't get seen, you'll get shot, but you can still fight back. And I'm well aware that's the case with most, mainstream stealth games, and I get that, but don't compare a game to another game if they actually have, nothing in common. Especially when the AI in Velvet Assassin actually wasn't completely stupid, and in many ways was too smart. Like that game was very unforgiving in that regard. Now, for the Splinter Cell fans out there who may be worried that the taste this game left in my mouth might sour me on the rest of the series, don't worry about that. I have already been briefed on the fact that this is basically the worst Splinter Cell game ever. So I'm not going to dismiss the rest of the series simply based on this one, because that wouldn't be fair. Again, it's kind of like dismissing the Sonic series because you played Sonic 06. It doesn't make any sense. You can't, judge an entire series based off of the worst thing the series has to offer. Some of you may also be wondering if I can recommend this game at all, and I guess if you have a really high crap tolerance, if you don't mind the fact that the AI is dumb as shit, if you don't mind the camera issues, if you don't mind the dated combat and the odd controls, the game's not terrible. It just made me really mad, which I think is a bit of a difference. It's not as bad as Colonial Marines, again, or Sonic 06 for that matter. It's just infuriating. It just makes me so angry because it could have been really good, and yet it's not. And that makes me angry, because all the problems are really basic issues. It's like the game was rushed out the door. I guess if you're a big Splinter Cell fan, you might be able to get into it, from a plot perspective, I don't know. But much like the fans that talk to me, I would not view this as jumping on point at all, because that would be a terrible decision. And I would also highly recommend avoiding this if you're a fan of stealth games, because it's really not that fun in that regard. It's not a very good game, and I would basically say play like any other game in the series, because from what I understand, this is the worst one, so any other one in the series would probably be better. So there you go. Till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fond farewell.